Hey everyone, ArdrethShadow here, and welcome back to Doki Blue Skies. So, previously, I got the best ending for this little lady here. After a lot of trial and error and sadness and frustration, mostly at the characters themselves. Yeah, I guess I didn't really express it. Well, in case I didn't really express it enough in the previous 3 videos, like, yeah, MC definitely got on my nerves, and eventually Natsuki started to kind of as well. And most everyone knows that I'm pretty forgiving. Unless, well, anyways. So, off screen, I went ahead and I kind of started over again, up to the point where we begin our little quest here. So yeah, we're here to meet everyone in the literature club, and it just asked, well, apparently MC is going to turn to either Yuri or Natsuki. So, it is time to bust out the old notebook. So, in that route I chose Natsuki. This time I'm going to choose Yuri. Like I said, as tedious as it sounds, I'm making sure I take note of every single choice I make, in case I can figure out where I went wrong. Although it would seem as though these choices in particular don't seem to matter, apparently. It's only until after the festival that it seems like most of the choices really matter in the end, so... Anyways, enough talking. Let's go with the funny lady. Okay, here we go. Hey, could you help me pick out a book you'd think I like? I'd be happy to. If the prospect isn't too off-putting, I know of a wonderful horror novel. To be honest, horror never particularly appealed to me. Still, I want to make an effort here. I have an open mind. What book were you thinking of? It's called The Ugly Barnacle. Okay, no. Blushing, Yuri bends down and removes a thick book from the bookcase. It has a large piercing eye on the cover. It almost feels like it's staring into my soul. One of my personal favorites, Portrait of Markov. I know it might look intimidating, but sorry. She shakes her head and goes to put the book back, but I stop her. No. Don't worry about it. I'd love to check it out. What's it about? You know, it's pretty much what the Project Libitina thing everyone was talking about was supposed to be, possibly. I don't know. Actually, I really don't know anymore. It's been forever since I played the original DDLC, and for good reason. A coy smile plays across her face, as though she were pleasantly surprised by my enthusiasm. Let's see, the protagonist is a young high school student who moves in with her sister, but shortly after, sinister things start happening. The two are captured by an ominous cult that practices nightmarish experiments on their prisoners. Okay, now it's starting to come back to me. Throughout the story, she's forced to make choices no one her age should have to make. In the process, her ability to trust others is warped, and many of her relationships are broken as a result. Pretty dark, but hey, I'd be lying if I said it didn't sound interesting. I'm sickened but curious. Well, it definitely does sound pretty engaging. I think I'll read this book then. Natsuki mumbles something, but she's just barely out of earshot. You already had your time, so you don't get to complain about anything. Really? You don't have to if you don't want to. I do. Save that for the wedding. Okay. Well, I guess... Yeah, If it wasn't, like, that clear enough from my channel history, Yuri is at least my second favorite of the girls. The top spot for my first favorite is constantly switching between Sayori and Yuri. Although, I think if I had to sit down and I had to absolutely say one or the other, I think it would be Sayori. But Yuri still has a special place in my heart. Because she feels just like me, like a fellow outcast in high school. Okay, well, anyways. I do. I now pronounce you man and wife. No. Well, this might not be what I usually pick. Your description of the plot intrigued me. That's why I said, I'm sickened but curious. Although I do have to ask, what makes this your favorite book? If I had to put it into words, I suppose I'm a big believer in literature's ability to challenge the psyche. So to have such an immersive tale question your ideals and foundations can be extremely exhilarating. She smiles and twists a long lavender strand of her hair around with her finger. Lies! Words are immensely powerful. They can paint stunning portraits, invoke emotion, or even whisk oneself away to an entirely new dimension. Kind of like what I'm doing right now. I said bye-bye to the Natsuki dimension and I'm here in the funny lady dimension now. As she continues to speak, she transforms from a timid girl I just met into a proud and confident expert. I get the impression that she feels more at home with books rather than people. Pretty much how it was with me with, like, books and games. Isn't that exhilarating, Daniel? Funny. Okay, I'll try not to abuse that too much. Especially because Windows Movie Maker can't take me editing, like, videos that are almost 2 hours long very easily. Okay, isn't it exhilarating, Daniel? We have such a vast vocabulary at our disposal. With such a powerful resource at our fingertips, we can do anything. Yes, it's funny how that works. Okay. I clear my throat, hoping that I don't put her off with my evident inexperience. Me don't understand big words. I don't read books. Or, me don't read book. Yeah, when you put it that way, I can understand how powerful the written word can be. This is true. I scratch the back of my head nervously. Fortunately, she finds that to be a satisfactory answer. Good. She isn't aware that I'm an idiot. Yet. One must look at the words the author chose. We have so many synonyms, so what compelled the author to shape their story the way they did? The feeling I get when I finally finish a compelling novel, it leaves me totally breathtaking. No, you're breathtaking! I wish I had something as coherent to respond with. We might as well be from different planets. She's from Venus and you're from Jupiter. Because you went to Jupiter to get more stupider. I think I know what you mean. She closes her eyes, pulling her hands close to her chest. Okay, this isn't a lie. Then, as though remembering she's not alone, she suddenly blinks and immediately appears more bashful. Don't think we're alone now. There really seem to be so many people around. Oh, goodness. I'm sorry. I must have gotten lost in my train of thought. It's okay. I do that a lot. Especially in these videos. She fidgets with the thin chip in her hair, sliding it up and down. Hey, don't worry about it. It's nice to see you talk about something you obviously enjoy. Who's to say otherwise? Yuri glances over at Natsuki, who simply raises an eyebrow in reply. Don't listen to her. Does Natsuki not like those kinds of stories? She sighs and turns to look out of the window. That's putting it lightly. We have our differences in what we enjoy, literature-wise. She frowned slightly, as though pained by Natsuki's apparent disapproval. How disappointing. Well, I think everyone's tastes are what make literature interesting, especially when talking about it with other people. And especially with everyone's interpretations and comprehensions of said literature. See? Like I said, a lot of what I learned in my English classes have been drilled into my head. I can't help but grin. I feel like that was actually pretty clever. It was, if I'm being honest. Yes, that's a good way of thinking about... yes, that's a good way of looking at it. I reach over and take Portrait of Markov from her, tucking it under my arm. Well, I'll give this a bit of a read and see how far I can get tonight. I appreciate you giving it a chance, even if it's not something you're used to. I'll be looking forward to hearing your opinion. I must warn you, though, once you get past the first few chapters, you might have trouble putting it down. And perhaps tomorrow, if you wanted to, we could discuss it. If that's okay with you. She looks quite nervous as she suggests that. Guess that's just how her personality is. Yes, she is the shy, timid bookworm, which is pretty much how I spent most of my time in school as. And which is why, she is very near and dear to my heart in the sense that it's I feel for this girl because it's I understand you. I understand what you're feeling right now. Okay, well, me quoting Midnight Express aside, yeah, she does. I do understand a bit of what she feels because in a lot of ways I've gone through it myself in my time in high school. So anyways, yeah, we can do that tomorrow. Thanks for the recommendation, Yuri. I do need to branch out and try new things. This will be a good place to start, because I don't read books. I'm grateful that I get to read it on my own, at least for now. Yes, if it plays out the way the original game did. I honestly have no idea if I'll even like it, and if I were reading it with her and decided I didn't, that would make things a little awkward. With the book in hand, I make my way to a desk. The others are all now preoccupied, so it seems like a convenient time to start the story. It's definitely an unusual book. Horror was never really my thing, but I have to admit the main idea is intriguing and the main characters are written well. The more I read, the more I can see why it appeals to Yuri. Fascinating. All that talk about appreciating sophisticated language. While it's not exactly my kind of story, to their credit, the author does a good job building up the rather bleak situation. It's called world building, and I guess this author does it well. I've never been particularly imaginative, but even I can picture the scenes in my head. If I weren't so tired, I could probably engage with it more. Over time, I can't help but feel a little bored, though. I guess I've read enough to be able to discuss it with Yuri tomorrow, so I decide to call it there. Looking up, I spot Sayori reading something. Might as well see what she's up to. I've been reading this for long enough. Time's up, young man. You've only paid 10 rupees. You've played around long enough. Standing up with a stretch, I make my way over and take a seat next to her. So, talk to me, Sayori. What's up? Hey, how's it going, Sayori? What are you reading? It's called the... Okay, no, I'm sorry, it's just so tempting to make the ugly barnacle joke. And as I sit down... Let's see, well, I guess I'll just glance over this real quickly. So let's see. Nothing much, just reading some stuff for a school project. What about you? You seemed really into your book. I have a feeling there's going to be a little bit, some nuances here, so yeah, I'm not going to skip. There wouldn't be a point. Oh yeah, it was a good read, at least as far as I can tell right now. I can't help but wish I sounded a little more enthusiastic. That's great! How are you liking the club? You're not bored, are you? She looks a little worried, her cheerful persona faltering for a moment. Where did that question come from? It's a bit too early to tell how I really feel about the club. Yeah, I've only been here for like 30 minutes. Of course not, Sayori. Or an hour. I haven't been here for long, but I've enjoyed meeting everyone. They've opened my eyes to new stuff. I've never been huge on reading, because I don't read books. But I'm confident the literature club could change that. So that way I can read books. Well, I'm glad to hear you're involved. You don't want to join a club that you have no interest in, right? I know what you mean. I think reading will grow on me in time. Actually, do you mind if I sit with you and read? Even though you said that you were going to call it there. She looks at me, clearly surprised. I don't think she was expecting me to sit next to her, but nonetheless she seems happy. Her smile is infectious, lifting my own spirits too. Protect this smile and treasure it always. That'd be great, Daniel. Okay, I guess I'm just gonna skip it a little bit. Okay, so far it looks like it plays out exactly like it did in the video that I called the Prelude. With the exception of the little nuances with Natsuki. Okay, time to write a poem. And, well... Okay, well, I guess on the plus side, one thing I can say is I think Yuri would probably be the easiest one to pick out the words for because, you know, basically you just pick any of the words that sound kind of dark and eerie or the most sophisticated ones. It's these two, like... I mean, there's some obvious ones with Natsuki, but then there's a few with Sayori that are like, wait, it sounded like she could like this. Anyways. See? And then Portrait of Markov. Okay, Depression, I know that one from a meme. Tenacious. Determination. Existence. Misfortune. Oops. Well. Unrestrained. Well. Universe. Okay. Disarray. Intellectual. Uncontrollable. Melancholy. Horror. Afterimage. Okay, that's definitely Sayori's word. Wait, didn't I just pick Vivacious? Or... I don't know. I'm scared and disorientated. Okay, well. Ludicrous speed! Let's see what happened here. See, Daniel, what would you say? Okay. Gotta get my Natsuki voice back. Daniel, what would you say your main hobbies are? Well, she's really putting me on the spot here. You know I'm playing into your teasing right now. I know I'm playing into your teasing right now, but yes, I spend a lot of my time playing games and watching anime. And that's all you need to know. That's a bit rich, coming from someone who keeps her manga collection in the club room. What? Ha! She's got your number. Natsuki sputters, like I'm spluttering right now. Natsuki splutters to a halt. Looks like a certain someone knows how to dish it out, but can't take it. Yeah. It's like, believe me, I've gone through 4 different timelines with this girl. I know. I know that all too much. Anyway, ludicrous speed! Okay. Let's see here. So I guess this is where she said... Okay, you've ruined the surprise, which I don't remember right now. See, just knowing that you went through the effort to get me something makes me feel really welcomed. Oh, right, because she brought the book, and then Sayori's like, oh, hey, did you know? And then, okay, whatever. So let's see. In any case, anyway, if that's the case, here it is. Yuri reaches into her bag and pulls out a book. Isn't this the book from yesterday? Upon seeing the confused look on my face, she hastens to explain. I thought you might like to, have your own copy so that you could read it on your own time as well. I honestly don't know what to say. How is it that she's only known me for a day, yet she's already done something this thoughtful for me? Oh, Yuri, thank you! Well, I'm not gonna do it all over-exaggerating and be like, oh, Yuri, thank you! Okay, well, I said I wasn't gonna do it, but I did it anyway. That's really thoughtful of you, but, you didn't have to do that for me. I feel kinda bad. Oh no, don't worry. This is the special collector's edition. I gave you the standard release. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for that. I just, I understand if you don't want to read it with me anymore, so... Aw, no. Honestly, she gets more adorable by the minute. Please, it's fine. I'd love to read it with you. I just wasn't expecting you to buy me a copy of my own. You gave me my first gift that I can add to my non-existent literature collection. Or at least it will exist now. Are you sure? I don't want to force you. Seriously, Yuri, I'm sure. After all. I grin at her. What are you doing? It is a good book. She timidly returns my smile, relaxing a bit. I'm glad you seem to think so. How are you liking it so far? She looks at me with wide, expectant eyes. Yes. She must be really worried that I'm not enjoying it as much as her. As long as she doesn't look at me with the crazy eyes, I'm good. To be honest, I've been pleasantly surprised. While horror isn't really my thing, it really kept my attention. Even though I haven't gotten very far yet, I find myself feeling sorry for the protagonist. The language is pretty, engaging. It certainly makes me think about it. I praise the book. Her face grows visibly more relieved, and her eyes light up as I mention the language. It's like you're getting your way to her heart. I'm glad you think so. One not only needs to look at what is being said, but how it's phrased. It can entirely change the desired message, wouldn't you agree? Oh boy, I hope we don't get into an in-depth discussion about the language. I'm still nowhere near Yuri's level with this sort of thing. Oh, totally. I'd never really thought about it until you brought it up with me. You really made me look at it with a bit more scrutiny than I would normally. She blushes at this, turning away slightly. I made the funny lady blush. That's my first victory of the day. Really? I helped you with that? I have to admit, you really managed to open my eyes to this sort of thing. Or should I say, my third eye. I made a funny! But the funny lady doesn't like it. Should I be ashamed of myself? Yuri's silence makes me nervous. Did I make a mistake? I don't know. Let's see what she does next. That way then I can tell you either you're an idiot or a genius. You know, because the book mentions the third eye and there's an eye on the cover, and I'm trying to make a funny reference to the book, and clearly I'm coming off as very awkward and failing miserably, and why am I still talking? Ah, I see. Probably best not to comment on her accidental continuation of the pun. Tough crowd. Well, good night, everybody. Okay, no. I'll be here all week. Oh, I see. You were making a joke. I'm sorry. I didn't realize. Okay, well now the funny lady gets the joke. No worries. I just thought it was a good pun. She smiles bashfully. She smiles bashfully. Yes, it is quite humorous, isn't it? Phew. I think that means everything is okay now. Now that everyone's settled in, I expect Monika to kick off the scheduled activities for the club. It's time for public humiliation! Or, let's see. I'd love to talk to Yuri a bit more, especially after she gave me that book. However, she seemed to be focused on her own book. I'm worried I might just distract her. As she lifts it up to turn the page, I get a glimpse at the cover. It's the same book that she gave me, and it looks like she's only just started it. Yes, I thought we established that. Well, I guess this is possibly just left over from the original game, but... Well... Yeah, I guess... Maybe there's... Yeah, I don't know how else you could have maybe worded this, so... Okay, I guess... Whatever, let's move on. Ah! Oh damn, I hope she doesn't think I was staring at her. Our eyes meet, and time stops. But her eyes dart away quickly. Sorry. No, it's fine. I didn't mean to stare, I was just spacing out a bit. Oh. Yeah, I do that a lot. Well, if I had been actually concentrating, I wouldn't have noticed. I meant to ask, though, isn't that the book you gave me? Yes, because we established that earlier, and... Okay, yeah, it's like, we have a bit of a continuity error here, which... Well... It's like, then again, I mean, well... It's not my place to really... It's one of my favorites, so I thought I'd give it another read-through. Not for any other reason You know, maybe Yuri would be stumbling on her words at this point. Not for any other reason, I assure you. I see. But why do you have 2 copies of the same book that you so graciously gave me one of? Well, I know I lent you the book yesterday, but I figured you might feel more comfortable with your own copy. Okay, yeah, this is for sure left over from the original game. Okay, well, yeah, I guess just take note, there seems to be a bit of a continuity error here. Which seems a little weird, because it's like, we just finished talking about this, and now we're talking about it again as if it never happened. I know that I always feel more at ease when I'm handling my own belongings. As do I. If an accident happens, there's less at stake than if you damage someone else's property, so... Yes, because then you end up making the other person mad. I wonder if the whole thing with the teapot is gonna... Well, anyways. You're probably less clumsy than I am, though. Yuri, the ever-graceful girl, thinks that she's clumsy. It's like she is a gift from the heavens, descended upon us, mortals, gracing us with her everlasting presence of beauty and grace. Now, I'm pretty sure I'm just as clumsy as you, if not more so. Oh, right. Anyway, after our meeting adjourned yesterday, I went to the bookstore to get you... That is to say, I forgot I already had a copy and accidentally bought another, and it just seemed like a waste to just hold on to it. Couldn't you have just returned it, though? They had already closed, so... There's something fairly obvious here that Yuri isn't telling me, but I decide to let it go. Just like, I guess I'm gonna let this continuity error go, even though it does slightly confuse me a little bit. Like, okay, we're talking about this again. Like, we have 2 different explanations for the same thing. I guess it doesn't really matter. I'm glad that you gave it to me. I'll get started on it right away. That makes me happy to hear. It's the kind of story that really draws you in. If you're not careful, you can lose track of time very easily.
I'm very much aware of that.
I know I've opened it for some light reading before bed, only to close it and find out the sun's rising.
Oh, jeez.
I'm sure that won't happen to you, though. You'll be able to get enough sleep as usual. That is, unless you generally find yourself lacking sleep, in which case you should go to bed earlier. But you can do whatever you want. I don't mean to overstep my bounds.
Don't worry about it, Yuri. I'll be sure to read it earlier in the day. That way I'm not up at 6 a.m. and I'm like, holy crap, school's in 2 hours. Do you mind telling me a bit more about it? Okay, yeah, well...
Oh, I'd love to. But don't you remember that I already told you? But then I don't remember either, so what are we talking about again? Now, where do I begin?
Yuri delicately closes the book, her eyes scanning the cover.
Well, actually, I don't think I could give an adequate explanation on my own.
Even though you did.
If I were to tell you more about the story than I did yesterday, it would lose a lot of its impact.
Oh, okay, well. Okay, well, I guess continuity error solved.
Forgive me if it sounds like I'm brushing you off. That's not what I intended.
It's alright, Yuri. Come to think of it, you did summarize it well enough already.
Yes. I'm sorry, I seem to get lost in my own mind whenever I talk about these kinds of stories. Don't you have anything like that, Daniel?
I guess so. Yuri nods with a delicate smile.
Everyone has deeply held interest that stirs with the passion within their heart.
Yeah, like for mine, it's... Well, gaming is one of them, and another one is... let's see, well... I used to do writing, although I've kind of lost motivation for it, if I'm being honest, after some bit of backlash. On the flip side, I also do a lot of work with Lego, so that is definitely one passion that I have held since my youth that has carried on to this day. And before you think it's weird, well, there's a whole... Didn't I mention this before, the adult fans of Lego? Well, anyways.
I suppose for me it would be my novels and...
Yuri cuts herself off, as though she were about to say something she didn't want to. Novels and bungee jumping.
Well, you know what I mean.
What got you into these sorts of stories, though? I gestured towards the book in her arms. Do your parents enjoy them as well? Come to think of it, it's like, we don't know much about Yuri's parents, do we? We only know about Natsuki's dad. He's the only parent ever mentioned in this entire... Well, in the entirety of the original game. Yuri pauses for a moment, shyly looking down at her feet. She seems to be going over what she wants to say in her head. Yep. You don't want to say the wrong thing and make people think you're weird, right? Been there.
I've always had an interest in the macabre. This genre can easily throw you for a loop. While many stories are simply content to introduce an antagonist and condition their reader to root against them, books like this one can find ways to flip that narrative on its head.
Okay, yeah. Like, I think someone made the point, like, with... Well, I guess if I jump over to movies really quickly, Avengers Infinity War. Like, it's obvious that Thanos is supposed to be the main antagonist, because, of course, he wants to wipe out half of everything, all life in the universe. And yet, it's like, well, he seems to be justified in his logic. And I've seen a lot of people, like, make theories about how, like, Thanos is right and whatever, and... So, at the very least, if you take that into consideration, at least for some people, Avengers Infinity War did kind of flip the narrative on its head to make it seem like, okay, well, who's in the right here? Like, is Thanos right? Is Iron Man right? The entirety of the heroes right, you know?
So while you might initially find yourself relating to the protagonist, you might suddenly find out that they're their own worst enemy. I'm rambling, aren't I?
Yes. However, you didn't hear me rambling about Avengers Infinity War, so it's all good.
Please forgive me. I really should try to think about others more.
Yuri, I promise I'm not mad at you. You're just passionate, which is pretty cool.
It is?
For a brief moment, a tiny smile teases the corner of Yuri's mouth. Truth.
Well, I'll try not to worry too much about it. Worry about it too much. But sometimes I get distracted when I think about books and writing. I forget where I am and start speaking my mind. So please forgive me if I say anything unusual.
It's like, how can I ever say no to this face?
And if it seems like I'm not paying attention, please let me know.
I really don't think you need to worry about that, Yuri. This is a literature club, after all, where we talk about literature. So if anything, it's like you're doing exactly what this club is intended for. Isn't that the sort of thing we should be discussing anyway?
I suppose so.
So on that note, would you like to read a bit together?
You don't need to force yourself to spend time with me if you don't want to.
But what if I do? Did you ever consider that?
You'd really want to spend your time with me?
Of course, Yuri. Of course. Book in hand, I slide into the desk next to Yuri. This is where the fun begins. Is everything okay?
Yes, it is. I'm sorry. I'm just not used to intimacy with another person. Yes. I'm terribly sorry, Daniel. I'm just not too accustomed to reading in company. It's usually been a solitary affair for me, you see.
Yeah, I can understand how this might be, or this might seem a bit unsettling for you. It's a real culture shock, to say the least. If it gets too overwhelming, let me know. I won't be offended if you need some space. Just don't be like Natsuki and tell me to go out the front door.
Alright.
I open up the book, allowing the hardcover to flop against the desk. As I read through the prologue... Wait, what? Okay, well, I'm sorry, I guess the continuity errors are just gonna keep nagging at me, but... I'll try to ignore them, but it's hard for me to do that. It's like... I find myself doing that to a lot of books and movies if I say, like, hey, wait a minute, that's not supposed to happen, or that didn't happen, and... Anyways. As I read through the prologue, I notice Yuri glancing over at my book. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't comforting in a way, but it's somewhat distracting.
I'm sorry. I hope I wasn't distracting you.
Yes, you were. Yuri, why do you apologize all the time? You've really done nothing wrong.
Do I? I can't help it, I suppose. It's like an involuntary reflex.
One that I kind of have myself. I've gotten better with it, but... Well, sometimes I do resort to apologizing if I feel like I am in the wrong or whatever.
If I preemptively apologize, it'll lessen both my disappointment in myself, as well as others' disapproval of me.
Aww.
I didn't mean to make things so awkward. Sorry. I mean...
Yep. It's okay. Don't worry about it. How about we do this? I push our two desks together, then slide my book between the two of them.
What? Sharing a desk? In this story? What about the children? What are they gonna think? And
okay, well...
I suppose that'll work.
Yuri puts her own copy away and shifts a bit closer to me. I steady the right side of the book between my thumb and forefinger, and Yuri does the same with the other side. Perfect. Now we can go through it at the same pace.
Yes.
Yep, I remember this. The two of us are huddled closely together over the book, carefully reading it. I can see Yuri's gentle face in my peripheral vision. She has a stern, focused expression, her eyes slowly scanning each page.
Do you need more time with this page?
Sorry. I guess I'm not really too quick of a reader. I look over and our gazes meet, and time stops. There's a coy sparkling to her eyes. Where's the fire? Right in your eyes, sugar. Okay, well.
It's quite alright, Daniel.
She's so nice.
We can go at whatever pace you're comfortable with. After all, you've been so patient with me today. It'd only be fair for me to return the favor, wouldn't it?
Thanks. I'll try not to take too long. The two of us continue reading in relative silence. Even though we're so quiet, each turn of the page feels as though we're connected. As I let go of the page, it gently floats over to her and she delicately slides it under her thumb.
Daniel?
Having been absorbed by the story, Yuri reels me back in.
Sorry, I didn't mean to disturb you.
You said it again. It's fine. What were you going to say?
Well, I suppose I just wanted to thank you for this. I had always hoped I could find someone to share my interest in books with. I've never really had anyone read with me before. Having someone else be there is nice.
Really? I would have thought you'd at least done some reading with your family.
Yes, well, I did when I was younger, but...
She trails off, not finishing the thought. I decide not to press her further on it right now. Yuri takes a slow, deep breath.
I'm just happy that you're here for me. I mean, with me! No, I don't have a crush on you. Seriously. Just ignore me. Not that I wouldn't want you to be there for me or anything, but... I can't believe I've messed things up again.
Wait, Yuri! No! It's not like that! I don't think you've done anything wrong. If anything, I think of it as a compliment.
You do?
Sure. If I'm being honest, I enjoy your company as well. You broke Yuri.
Okay, everyone.
And Monika saved her.
I think it's about time we share today's poems with each other. We might not have enough time if we wait too long.
Yuri sighs dejectedly, looking down at the floor. Oh darn.
Is that all right, Yuri? You look kind of down. I'm sorry if you haven't been looking forward to this. It's not that. Don't worry about me. It's all right.
Yuri lets go of the book and closes the cover, handing it back to me. We got through a fair bit today, didn't we? Do you mind if I continue a bit further on my own? Or would you prefer I only read it with you?
You don't have to limit yourself on my behalf if you want to keep reading. After all, I've finished this story before. At least 45 times to be exact.
Then I guess I'll continue reading a little bit tonight. Then we'll have a bit more to talk about tomorrow.
Yes, that's a good idea, Daniel.
Oops, it's like I got a little click happy there.
Just be sure to let me know how far you get so I can avoid spoilers for you.
Alright. I skim through the book where I find the page... I skim through the book to find the page we left off on, and fold it in slightly to mark it for later. By the way, you did remember to write a poem, right? What kind of idiot do you think I am, Monika? Well, I don't know. What kinds of idiots are there, Monika? Do you know? Okay, well, yeah, so this is already... Okie dokie, let's dokie dokie. I haven't said that in a while. Yuri seems the most experienced, so I should start with her. I can trust her opinion to be fair. Okay, well at this point, I guess she's not gonna be, like, ignoring me now. I wonder how much this is gonna change the story, especially with the... well, I'm pretty sure it'll change things just enough. Yuri's eyes seem to sparkle as she reads my poem.
My goodness, this is unparalleled. These 20 random words are arranged in such a way that are pleasing to my eyes.
I think that might be a bit much. Yeah, especially because... like, if you read out all of those words I chose and I don't remember the exact order anymore, they make no sense. And one of them appeals to Sayori. Okay, well I guess that means I don't have to, like, 100%. But I guess as long as it's close enough.
Forgive me if I didn't sound sincere.
Oh, you thought you meant unparalleled as in, oh, this is unparalleled to how awful it is. You wrote an awful poem. In fact, your poem is so awful that I'd rather go and marry the leader of the peanut gallery. Okay, well, Yuri first covers her mouth, but then ends up covering her whole face. Aww. Don't sweat it, Yuri. I just wasn't expecting to hear such a compliment from you already.
I see.
Yuri clears her throat.
Well, I just wanted to say, this is truly an impeccable poem.
Yuri glances down back at my poem.
So, I assume this isn't your first piece, am I correct? Your composition incorporated a lot of beautiful poetic devices and imagery indicative of an experienced writer.
Really? You got all that from 20 random words? Well, I hate to disappoint. I literally just sat down, looked at a notebook, and chose from a word bank to hope that it sounded okay. But this is kind of my first time doing this sort of thing.
You're joking, right?
I don't joke. It's not joke. It's like, I especially don't joke with the funny lady. Well, I mean, considering how I tried joking with the funny lady and it kind of went over her head, yeah, it's not joke. I shake my head. If I end up writing a good poem, it's totally coincidental, I'm afraid.
I see. Well, in that case, I think you've got a wonderful gift. Although, if you would like, I could offer you some advice for your future poems.
Yuri's eyes light up, as though she's been looking forward to this. I've been looking forward to this. Please do. I need all the help I can get. That's putting it mildly.
I've just noticed a few qualities consistent with newer writers that show up in your poem.
Okay, and... well... Okay, let's see. You might find deeper meaning in the hidden metaphors. So you don't take poems at face value. In actuality, it's supposed to represent the last remnants of something lost to the past, and the sense of plaintive longing that comes with it. Huh, that's pretty impressive when you put it that way.
You really think so? That might be a bit much, Daniel.
No, I really mean it. I think I could learn something from your poetry, Yuri.
Really?
Yeah, of course. Of course.
You know, at first, the prospect of sharing my writing was terrifying. But I'm really glad I was able to do it. Hopefully I can write another piece that you'll like, Daniel.
I'll look forward to it, Yuri. I've been looking forward to this. Man, it's like my whole perception of her seems to be quite different after playing through her route. I don't hate her, just to be clear. I still like her. Although, let's just say I have a bone to pick with this version of her.
Daniel, if you're not actually gonna try, then you're better off just leaving the club.
Geez, you don't beat around the bush, do you?
Why should I? This is just plain bad.
Hey, do I look like a writer?
No, you look like a clown.
This was my first ever poem. Yeah, it's probably garbage, but I still tried. If you're so confident, let's see the first poem you wrote, huh? Do you still have it? Ha! I got your number. Hard to think about.
Fine. I'm, sorry if you were offended.
Instead of, I'm sorry I offended you, I'm sorry if you were offended by the words that I spoke. Way to avoid a direct apology. Exactly. But, I mean, we already know she's like that.
But next time, at least try a little bit harder.
Nowhere to go but up, huh?
Yeah, sure, whatever. Just read my poem, then get out of my face. Knowing you, you'll probably hate it.
Okay, let's see here. Sometimes some folks are winners, some only lose, some are go-getters, some only cruise. Sometimes we try hard and give it our all. Sometimes we give up. What else can we do? Okay, yeah, I've read this one before. Okay, Sayori. Okay, so far it seems identical. No nuances just yet. Well, it's just... Oh, there were no nuances at all. Okay, Monika, you never let me down, for the most part.
Hi, Daniel. Hope you've been enjoying your time here.
Yeah, definitely.
I probably sound like a broken record right now. So Daniel, the real Daniel's gonna be...
I sound like a broken record right now, which is why the guy who's controlling me is gonna go at ludicrous speed. Okay. See, don't grade me too harshly.
You'll be fine.
I nervously watch as she quickly scans through my poem. Okay, yeah. She usually says, like, oh, you know, this reminds me of so-and-so, so she better not let me down here.
Good work, Daniel.
Really? You can lay the brutal truth on me if you want.
Lay it on me, coach. I can take it. You don't have to be so harsh on yourself. This is your first time writing poetry, isn't it?
That it is. My God.
It usually takes a while for people to become completely comfortable with their writing. And even then, they're constantly evolving their style and changing things up.
Like the Pokemon series sometimes. And then, every once in a while, Kanto comes back, and now I'm waiting for Johto, and... Well, anyways. I guess that's true. Either way, you shouldn't have high expectations for me. If you don't, my poems will seem better when I actually put in some effort anyway. Yeah, so set your expectations really, really low. Like I did when I saw Rise of Skywalker. Because Rian Johnson wrote a bad movie. I mutter that line half-jokingly to myself, but it seems like Monika still picked up on it.
Daniel!
What?
That's not very fair.
What?
This is outrageous. It's unfair. How can you be a master, or how can you be on the council and not be a master?
Take a seat, young Skywalker. Forgive me, Master. Okay.
More importantly, though, you should have faith in yourself.
Sorry. It's like self-depreciating humor is my specialty.
Anyway, about your poem, the subject was deeper than I expected out of you.
Seriously, what do you see in this writing? You just don't understand the troubled genius of my angst-ridden mind. Or, okay, let me try this again. You just don't understand the troubled genius of my angst-ridden mind. You'll never understand. You filthy casual.
That might have been so. I guess we have two troubled and angsty geniuses in this club, then.
You know, well, Yuri doesn't really strike me as being angsty. I mean, she's a genius, no doubt, but... Well, I guess we'll just wait until the story unfolds further. You're talking about Yuri, right? No, we're talking about your imaginary friend Hugo.
Mm-hmm. He wrote in a style very similar to Yuri's. Her writing is full of imagery and symbolism, while Sayori and Natsuki like to use simple and direct words to communicate their messages. Yuri likes to use complex diction in syntax to allow readers to derive their own meanings out of it. In other words, her vocabulary and sentence structure are usually quite involved.
Huh. Yeah, that sounds like her all right.
Mm-hmm. It might be a bit tough to understand her writing at first. But what seems really opaque actually has very deep meanings behind it.
Yeah, the themes of Yuri's poem were definitely hard to figure out. Like the one about the ghost. He was like, "Oh, this isn't literally about a ghost, is it?" It's like, no, the ghost is figurative. She sounds like the sort of person an English teacher would love. She'd fit right in my English classes from the old days.
Don't worry, Daniel. If you give her writing a few read-throughs, I'm sure you'll find that they're far from incomprehensible.
So you say. Are you sure that my writing is similar to hers? I think it's an understatement to say that I'm nowhere near her level yet.
Don't worry so much about that. You do your own thing. Just keep exploring and learn by trying new things.
Yep. Like a friend of mine once told me, just go at life at your own pace. Or in this case, just go at reading and writing poetry at your own pace. And don't worry so much about comparing yourself to others. Because only then it'll possibly make you feel a little more anxious and maybe even uncomfortable about where you are. Like, they're at this level and I'm at this level, why can't I be at this level so far? And yeah, so don't do that. And okay, it'll take a while, and that's perfectly fine. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so everything is still about the same. And I still haven't quite figured it out yet. Or, well, actually, no, I was saying, like, it was kind of foreshadowing to the epiphany she had. I'm sickened but curious. That's a story for another day. Okay, time to get my notes, which I already have out in front of me. You'll be like SpongeBob when he wrote, "Duh!" And then he was like, all, "Break time!" Or you'll just end up with a big capital T in "duh."
That's my advice for today. Thanks for listening.
Sailor Moon says.
Fighting evil by moonlight, winning love by daylight, never running from a real fight. She is the one named Sailor Moon.
Alright, ludicrous speed. Okay, here comes the argument. Let's see, The art of poetry. Look, I know what you're trying to do. It won't work on me.
I'm sorry, but I don't quite understand.
Okay, well, actually, yes, I should have my notes out in front of me.
This kind of thing only works on amateurs like Daniel.
Ouch. I don't like where this conversation is headed. Run! And, okay, let's see, riding in the way, yada yada yada, and everyone's fighting! Okay, yeah, see, it's giving me the option to save now, and what? What? See, maybe I should defer to one of the club's leaders. So, of course, that's going to be... Ah, jeez. Okay, let's see. Argument, I chose Sayori. So, let me see. Argument. Just to keep it fresh, I'm gonna go with Monika for this one. Yeah, it's like, oops, it practically did throw me for a loop. I couldn't remember. I didn't remember this choice. Okay, we need a little bit of Monika in my life. I honestly don't know what to do in this situation. I quickly glance over to Monika. Monika nods at me and approaches the two girls. Okay, Miss Club President, you're up.
Yuri and Natsuki, this is...
She clears her throat. Is it just me, or did her confident persona seem to waver a bit?
What? The shining class star isn't so shining and classy anymore? That is... This is no way to act in our club.
Monika does seem sort of disorientated. She's probably not used to such confrontation.
You're kind of setting a bad example. Daniel's probably really uncomfortable. Not to mention, there's really no reason for this argument to be happening. But, Monika... No, I can't have this in the club. Are you kidding me? Don't you see how Yuri's treating me? She's being a massive jerk right now. There's so much reason for this argument. Excuse me, Natsuki, but it's actually your own toxic behavior that led to this.
Yuri really emphasized that toxic bit.
Toxic behavior? What are you talking about? Are you even listening to yourself? This is exactly...
Oh my goodness.
This is exactly why no one wants to be your... Enough!
Oh man, angry Monika. I've never seen angry Monika before.
Enough!
Monika seems to have gotten over herself and now looks livid.
You guys are supposed to be friends, aren't you? It's so foolish how you two are acting. Don't you have any consideration for the other club members? You're even making Daniel uncomfortable. Yuri, didn't you say yourself that you wanted to make him feel as welcome as possible? What happened to that?
Yeah, it's like Monika is pissed off as hell.
I didn't mean to make him feel that way. And don't forget Sayori. She always acts in everyone's best interests, while you two act like this? How could you, Mr. Krabs? You promised these kids Krabby the Clown, but all I saw out there was... two angry girls fighting over a sheet of paper! I wasn't trying to do anything either. I'm just being honest. Yuri is... Let me finish, Natsuki. I would ask you to please reconsider the way you are treating one another. You guys are obviously talented with your writing skills, and you both have unique aspects to your writing styles. That's what makes you guys special. To be fair, I'm obviously not good with handling situations like this, but...
There's a sudden pause for a minute, and I decide to break the silence. I agree with Monika. Fighting will only cause everyone to split apart, to be honest.
Stop it! Stop it! Can't you see all this fighting is tearing us all apart?
I really like it here, and I believe if there's any resentment held over it, it just won't be the same. Both girls are speechless. Yuri is the first to speak.
I'm going to make some tea.
Natsuki remains silent and takes a seat, only to stare into nothingness. To stare into the abyss. I slide next to Sayori, who's all sad and grumpy. Man, I can see why she's president.
Yeah, she is pretty great. Even though she doubts herself, I think she handled that pretty well.
Monika seems like such a genuine, sweet girl. She's also a normal girl. Hopefully, I'll be able to properly get to know her during the school year. Maybe. I mean, we did get to know her a lot better than what I thought we would in another timeline.
Okay, everyone, it's time for ludicrous speed.
Let me see here. Okay, let's see. But hey, it goes to show that you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. She giggles. I frown. Did I say something funny?
It's not joke. Nice pun. Did you even realize?
Huh? Pun? What is that? Even though you used one? Ah, you mean about the book comment? Oh! And this is a literature club. Jeez, looks like the club's really starting to rub off on me, isn't it? Okay, let's see. Sayori might be a bit of an airhead, and let's see. I am going to save in the event that I mess this up royally. Okie dokie. Let's see. Mausoleum. Oops, well. Okay, well, I guess note to self. Sayori is a fan of Nickelback. Look at this photograph!
I'm scared and disorientated.
Okay, well, I would like to hope that this'll work. And now, ludicrous speed! Hello, Yuri. Hey, I'm playing that right now. Well, I did play through that. Anyways, okay. Well, I can't help it if I end up referencing other mods. It's too easy for me to.
Hello, Daniel.
It's like, well, you know, Hello Neighbor 2 did apparently come out. Will Hello Daniel be the sequel? No, I would hope not. Yuri places the book she was reading down on her desk. I'm not interrupting you or anything, am I?
Oh, not at all. Were you hoping to continue reading together?
Well, yes, actually. Would that be alright?
Oh, of course. Before we get started, would it be alright if I made some tea?
Sure. What did you have in mind?
Perhaps I could show you.
It better not be the specialty. Yuri stands up and drifts towards the back of the room. She opens up the cupboard and retrieves a glass pitcher.
I'll just be a moment. Is that alright?
Yeah, take your time. 'Cause baby, you can do it. Take your time, do it right. You can do it, baby. Do it tonight. Yuri turns to leave, but suddenly wheels back. What?
Oh, I almost forgot. there's an electric kettle in the cupboard here. Would you mind plugging it in for me while I'm gone?
Sure. See you in a bit. This time she leaves the classroom for real. She's nervously clutching onto the water pitcher, yet she still appears to make long, elegant strides. Because she's a sophisticated woman of such grace and beauty that we don't deserve. I don't deserve to be in your presence. I'm not worthy. Okay. It's really quite astonishing to see. She almost looks graceful.
Oh, where's Yuri off to?
To get some lemonade.
You didn't scare her away, did you?
Monika, no!
What? No! At least, I don't think so.
Do I offend?
I'm just teasing you, Daniel.
Stupid, sexy Monika. Right. That's not really what I'd call a good joke, but I don't argue. It's not joke. Yuri wanted to make some tea, so she went to fetch some water.
I see. Yuri's very proud of her tea set. Has she shown it to you yet?
Well, she did in another dimension, but I don't remember that, so no. Oh? Not yet, no.
Maybe you should ask her about it. Tea is a big passion of hers, so I'm sure she'd be happy to talk about it a bit. Who knows? Maybe it'll help you get closer to her.
There we go, now Monika's playing matchmaker with me and Yuri. Monika giggles. Stupid, sexy Monika.
I'm just messing with you again, Daniel.
At that moment, the door to the clubroom opens, and Yuri walks back in with a pitcher full of water. A full pitcher of water.
Ah, speak of the devil. Well, I won't keep you any further. Have fun with Yuri.
Monika, no. Monika walks away, and Yuri approaches me.
No, it's not! Is everything alright? I'm sorry for taking so long.
You're fine. Monika was just telling me about your tea set, and apparently shipping you and me in her mind.
Ah.
A delicate smile plays across Yuri's face.
Yes. Would you like to see it?
Monika must have been telling the truth. She genuinely looks excited to share this with me.
I'd be happy to, Yuri.
Okay.
Daniel, how do you like oolong tea?
I don't really have a preference. I'm sure whatever you give me will be fine. As long as it's not that special tea that I saw in those videos.
Very well.
Yuri sets the temperature on the electric kettle at 200 degrees. She then begins measuring the tea leaves into a strainer.
Monika wasn't kidding. You must really enjoy this, huh?
Yuri smiles shyly, blushing slightly.
Yes, besides reading, tea is a true passion of mine. A piping hot cup of tea along with a gripping novel. Doesn't that sound wonderful?
Yeah, I guess it does. I should try it sometime. I have to admit, it's kind of fascinating seeing you be so exact with everything.
Tea is an art, Daniel. It's a delicate dance where each step must be perfect.
Uncle Iroh would adore you. You know, from Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's like, he would adore this wonderful woman.
Even the temperature of the water must be precisely 200 degrees.
Really? The tea I make when I haphazardly plop a tea bag in boiling water seems fine to me. You uncultured swine! But then again, I guess Yuri's making tea with higher grade ingredients. It's like, yeah, I'm just buying the Lipton tea, but she's getting, like, the legit stuff here. Once the water is boiled, Yuri adds it to the pot and carefully steeps the tea leaves. See, she has the actual tea leaves versus the little coffee baggies that the Lipton tea is. She hums to herself delicately and pours out a cup for each of us.
It's nice seeing you like this. What do you mean?
You just seem so relaxed, like you're in the zone. AutoZone. Okay, no.
I see. Expressing myself isn't as hard as I thought it'd be. I'm glad I get to do this sort of thing with someone else. Especially someone as delightful as yourself, Daniel.
Yuri?
I'm sorry if that sounded weird. I don't want to make you uncomfortable.
It's really okay, Yuri. I want to do all of this with you. I'm not gonna say anything. It's kind of new for me as well. Maybe a bit of company will make it easier on both of us.
Yes. Thank you for being so patient with me, Daniel.
Yuri really doesn't have much self-confidence. Nope, unfortunately not. Which is part of the reason why she apologizes for everything so much. Because she essentially thinks, like, and like 80% of the time that she's in the wrong. The least I can do is let her be herself a little. Maybe over time she'll grow more comfortable around others.
Daniel, would it be okay if we sat on the floor today?
I don't see why not. Any particular reason why, though?
I can rest against the wall and read instead of leaning over my desk. I often have back pain, so it'd be easier on me.
Oh sure, I don't mind.
Thank you. Sometimes it can be a real bother to have... that is to say,
Based on how she's acting, I think I can guess what she might be referring to, but confirming that would probably make her feel even more embarrassed. You mean you have a terrible reading posture, right? I can't imagine hunching over your books like that would be... hunching over your books like that so much is too comfortable.
Yes! That's exactly what I was going to say. So, if we were to sit on the floor...
Yeah, that makes sense. Let me just get the book. I retrieve the novel alongside a small bag of chocolates. And here's a bag of chocolates! Yuri carries our teacups and places them on the ground, sliding them down to the floor. Soon enough, the two of us are in the same position as yesterday, each holding one side of the story.
Would it be okay if...
Yuri shifts closer to me until our shoulders are touching. Her thick purple hair flops over my arm as she peers over the book. Oh... I like to think I think I like Yuri being a bit more assertive. Oh? Well. Okay, I see what you're into now.
You're the light, you're the night, you're the color of my blood. You're the cure, you're the pain, you're the...
Here.
Well, I guess... if I'm not being stupid for 1 second... Yeah, given if Yuri really does have low self-confidence, it is nice to see her kind of assert herself and basically just express herself more openly and not be so reserved. Yuri reaches over with her free hand and presents me with my teacup. I carefully accept it, taking great care to avoid her chest as I do. Yeah, just... I slowly let go of the book and raise the teacup. Yuri subconsciously moves her hand underneath it to bounce the book between us. Her gaze is completely focused on the book, or focused on the pages below. It's almost as if you can see the story being... It's almost as if you can see the story being scanned word by word in her eyes. As she continues, I take a sip from my teacup. It has a soothing floral flavor, and it smells wonderful. Yuri wasn't kidding. This really is quite relaxing. Once I finish my tea, I take a chocolate from my bag and fiddle with the wrapper. After I've clumsily disposed of it, I plop it into my mouth. I got some chocolates here. Would you like one?
Oh, I appreciate the offer, but... I don't want to accidentally get smudges on the page.
Oh yes, I remember this part. That's a good point.
Sorry, I hadn't thought of that.
My bad.
Oh, It's quite alright. I can hold the book for us if you'd like.
Okay, here we go. Yuri grabs the other side of the book and holds it between us. Before I know it, she's fixated in the story again. I don't think she's noticed, but her arm's resting on top of my leg. I take another chocolate from the bag and raise it up to Yuri's mouth. Here we go. Without looking away, she parts her lips. Isn't this so romantic? It's like in those movies where you see the couple feeding each other the wedding cake and whatever, and... Okay, we're not at that point. I don't know if she even realizes she's doing it. But she's expecting it now. I have to follow through. I timidly place the chocolate in Yuri's mouth. As she continues to read, she closes her lips around it. Huh? I just love this face she makes. Looks like she just realized what happened.
What? Daniel?
Yuri blushes deeply, looking up at me. I'm sorry, I thought... Actually, what was he thinking? Okay, because he was thinking just to be nice to her to see if she wanted the chocolate.
Sorry. I wasn't really thinking.
Or, okay. That confirms my first theory.
No. You were just trying to make me feel more comfortable. Right?
Yes. Suddenly I feel really nervous.
Yeah. I just thought you might like some. Yes. If that's the case, then I wouldn't mind another.
Please, sir, can I have some more?
If that's alright with you, of course.
Totally. Yuri tries to look back at the book, but I can tell she's unable to focus on it, because she's all flustered now. Because her future husband was feeding her chocolate. Hand-feeding her chocolate. Okay, well. I can feel my heart trying to beat out of my chest. Things have gotten really tense. I reach down and take another chocolate. But this time, Yuri's eyes meet mine, and time stops. Was this how things were supposed to go? I don't know. How were things supposed to go? Yuri doesn't look away. Why are you staring at me? There's a soft pleading in her eyes as she blinks slowly. I raise my arm. Like before, Yuri parts her lips. However, this time, it feels a lot more intimate. Her breath is gentle and warm on my fingers as I place the chocolate in her mouth.
Okay, Well, what do we have here?
What we have here is a failure to communicate. Okay, no. Well, this is what you wanted, Monika, isn't it? Yuri jolts back. No, sir! I didn't see you playing with your dolls again!
Sorry, I didn't mean to make things awkward.
Well, you did. We were having a moment here.
We do need to share poems now, though. Is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
Great. Get things put away, and you can join us shortly.
Yuri and I sit there dumbfounded. What just happened?
I guess I'll take care of the teacups. Or I guess I can take care of the teacups.
Yeah. Sure. Teacups. Yuri picks up the teacups from the floor. I pick up the bag of chocolates. Without another word, the two of us clean everything up. I don't know if either of us will have the courage to bring this up in the future. Oh, you can. Sure you can. Maybe on your honeymoon night, or when you're talking to your children about how you first met and how you were totally being romantic with her and... Okay, well... anyways. Ignore me being so silly. Okay, and well... I think I'm gonna go ahead and just save it here, since the video is, I'd say, a pretty decent enough length. So next time, well, we're going to discuss poems. And eventually, I guess, we're going to talk about the thing that we dare not speak of in this dimension. So, I guess I'll see you guys next time with whatever else I do. Stay golden, and later, folks.